Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about Generation X, the invisible generation's unseen struggles. Did you know that nearly 40% of Generation X are financially supporting their adult children and their aging parents? We're diving deep into the untold struggles of the forgotten generation, proving that latchkey kids didn't just figure it out. They've been silently shouldering a unique burden this entire time. Now, back in the day, before the Industrial Revolution and stuff, but even after it and leading up to our lives, and it's gotten less and less so far, but back in the day, children were a resource, right? They helped around the farm, they helped around the house, they helped provide resources for the family. Even, for a blacksmith or something, the kid would come in and help help make money for the family, right? Help, or if it was some kind of barter system or whatever, they would help make horseshoes, or they would help plant the crop or help harvest or whatever it was. Children would help, and families wanted to have a lot of children so they would have a lot of help. So that's how humanity has been throughout time, right? The more children you had, the better off you were. You had a lot of labor, but back then it wasn't so much like that as like nowadays we think about that and we think of using children as slave labor and shit, you know what I mean? But farmers growing up, even small farmers and stuff growing up today, kids will go out and help with the chores, feed cattle, whatever, milk, whatever. And that's just life. That's just farm life. That's just country life. Kids grow up doing chores and stuff, working out in the fields or whatever. But that's how humanity grew up, how we evolved and how we sustained ourselves until the present age. And even back then, old folks had value. Right, they added value to the farm or the establishment, whatever it was, because old folks had wisdom. They had working knowledge and wisdom that younger people didn't have. Run up to the porch. Hey, Grandpa, the cow gone dry. She quit giving milk. Well, you just run down to the creek and grab some, shea butter plants and rub them on her udders and feed her some grits and barley, and she'll be right as rain tomorrow morning, sure as sunshine. And you do it, and Grandpa would have some, or Grandma would have some good old-fashioned wisdom to help out like that in many different areas, in healing and medical and food storage, food preparation. Just the old people would have so much wisdom stored up that they added value to the household, to the family. They weren't completely useless, right? Even if they couldn't physically help, they added, so they contained all of the wisdom of the family. They had the store of knowledge, right? That was very valuable back then. So having said that, you have the younger people, the kids and teenagers with the physical, adding physical value, and you have the old people adding mental wisdom, that kind of value. Nowadays, young people, I'm speaking just financially here. I'm not talking about, if we love our kids or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. This is just straight up from a financial, analytical point of view. Young people are just dead weight. All right. You got a 20-year-old, doesn't have a job, laying on the couch, provides absolutely zero, financial assistance at all. They're just dead weight. And the same thing with old people. What kind of wisdom is an old person going to have now? You know, the kid goes running up to grandpa, hey, grandpa, my Xbox quit working. What the hell's an Xbox? What do you want me? You know, get the hell out of here. I'm watching MSNBC. Trump's trying to be king. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. So the old people don't have the wisdom that we need anymore. They just don't. They don't have that kind of the wisdom that is necessary or valuable in this day and age. They are dead weight. The young people are dead weight because we don't own farms anymore. We don't have any work for them to do that contributes to the economy of the household, right? I mean, you can have them do some chores and wash the dishes or whatever, but it's not going to put money in the bank, right? It's not going to feed anybody. Washing the dishes or sweeping the floor is not going to feed the house. Not like going out there and planting a crop or harvesting or, you know, any of that stuff. So we're saddled on either side. Generation X is saddled on either side with just financial dead weight. All right, especially with the economy the way it is, young people are having a hard time finding a job, and in their mindset, the jobs that are available they don't want to do anyway, right? They don't want to go actually work. They want to be YouTube superstars and shit. They want to, you know, they want to be gamers, professional gamers or whatever. I don't even know what the kids want to be nowadays, so I don't know. But they want to do something stupid, right? They don't want to go out and get an actual job. So even if they wanted to, there aren't many jobs out there to be had. And the old people, they just don't have the wisdom for this new technological day and age. They don't, you know, you got to help them change the damn password on their Facebook account. You got to go in there and do that shit for them. They don't know how. You know, they don't know how to set up, what is that, a secondary authentication app and dual authentication stuff like that. They don't know how to do any of that stuff. Old people are like 10,000 times more likely to fall for phishing scams and shit. You know what I mean? Somebody will just send out, you know, 500,000 random emails to a bunch of people, and it's the old people that'll fall for that shit. Oh, the prince from Nigeria, he needs help. I'm gonna send him my bank account information, and this kind of shit. So this is what Generation X is dealing with on a daily basis. We're trying to provide sustenance for both of these, the younger people who won't work and the older people who can't work. And a lot of times the younger people can't work either because there just aren't jobs for them to have. But even when there are jobs, a lot of them won't. So this is a struggle unique to Generation X right now, right? Because the younger generations, everybody younger than us, we are still able to work. And the thing about that is that because we're able to work, other people will lean on us, right? And that's just human nature. Our kids will lean on us. Now the older people, their parents are gone. They don't have anybody to lean on. So they must lean back. They must lean down on us. You know, our parents must lean on us as well as our kids. We're right there in the middle where everybody's leaning on Generation X. And I've heard from many viewers and subscribers that they're doing exactly this. They're supporting their kids and their parents. And what do you do? What do you do? Do you send your 80-year-old mother out into the streets, or your 18-year-old son? Do you just send him out into the streets? Well, you make him get a job if there's one to be had. But that's tough. That's a tough decision. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, now we're trying to support these people, and while we're being I don't want to say discriminated against or whatever, but while we're being overlooked for other less experienced people inside the job market, right? Inside the corporation or whatever it is, whatever work you do, because people, Gen Xers are being overlooked because we are seen as high risk because we're thought, people think we're going to retire pretty soon. We'll be in there for a few years and we'll get the hell out and retire. And during that few years, everybody knows that the last few years in a job, you just want to skate through, right? Well, a lot of people do. They just want to skate through. They just trying to make it till the end. I don't give a shit. I just want to make it till I get to my retirement so I can, move to Florida and play golf for the next 50 years or whatever, or 20, 10 years, whatever it is. So we're being discriminated against in that way in the job market. So Gen Xers are having a hard time finding jobs after they've been laid off, and a lot of times they're the first ones to be laid off, even though they're the ones with the most experience and the most suited to the job, right? But it's becoming harder and harder for us to keep those jobs and to get new jobs when we lose the other ones, or to get promotions and find advancement within that company or whatever, wherever we are, right? Within your company, it's harder. You'll get chosen. You'll be chosen last for promotion. Someone else will be picked over you because you're within retirement, and within the next 10 years you're looking at possibly retiring. So that's a tough thing now, trying to support a larger family now with parents and kids together in the same household now on a stagnant income, because you're not being promoted anymore, you're being looked over, or you're being laid off or whatever, and on unemployment or something. And so this becomes tougher and tougher as inflation makes our money less valuable, increases the prices of goods, land and housing prices go up, rent goes up, mortgage rates, all this shit. So yeah, it's not an easy situation Gen X finds ourselves in right now. And we've always had that pressure of constantly having to reinvent ourselves and gather new skills for this rapidly changing environment, no matter what it is. I mean, we went from no internet to dial-up internet to broadband to all this social media shit and streaming and all this stuff. And now the technology is shrinking and it's becoming so fast, and now this AI is all over everywhere. So these rapid changes throughout our life, we're the first generation to really face all of this rapid change throughout our working lives, right? I mean, look at, like I mentioned earlier, pre and before and after the Industrial Revolution, but say farmers worked on farms, and that's what they did. That farming didn't change a whole lot. They went from a wooden plow to an iron plow to a steel plow, but still, or they go from oxen to draft horses or whatever, but it didn't really change. Shit didn't really change from generation to generation. And even in the industrial age, post-industrial age, the factories, I mean, they would update some shit or whatever and get a new equipment in the factory or whatever, but it wasn't so rapid, it wasn't so fast, that one factory worker could work on the same machine and make the same part for generation, for his entire career, okay? Back in the early 19th century. Now that started changing as new model car models and stuff came out, new models, so that evolved and speeded up, that pace speeded up a little bit into the second half of the 20th century. But then into the 21st century, the last 25 years, it's balls to the wall change. It's just, the change is just insane. And we've had to keep up with that shit. toward the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st, Generation X has been the ones who had to keep up with this shit and keep constantly reinventing ourselves. And now if you want to keep up to date with shit, you've got to learn all this AI bullshit, right? That's what you're expected to do now. You're expected to learn all about AI and how to use AI or how to program AI or whatever the hell. And that's what's expected. And so you have to, at 50 years old, we're going to have to learn an entire new thing if we want to stay relevant and stay competitive in the market, in the workplace. We're going to have to learn an entire new thing again. And that shit's not easy. It's not easy the first time. Yeah, we do it. We're adaptable. I mean, it's not like impossible. I'm not crying about it, but it is real. That is a real thing that we've had to survive. All that adaptation and the resilience of bouncing back from layoffs and reinventing ourselves and then getting a new job in a completely different field or a completely different trade. And we've had to do that our entire lives. And again, we're facing it again with this AI shit. So on top of trying to support our families pretty much our entire lives now, not just from the ages of 20 to 40 or whatever, where people throughout history have supported their families, and then their young kids would leave the nest, and we would have empty nest syndrome is going away. There is no empty nest anymore because the nest isn't empty, the nest is bursting, and now we have full nest syndrome, right? There's too many people in the damn nest. The generation after us and the generation before us are still in our damn nest. So those are struggles that Generation X has to deal with, and we not so much. We didn't do that to our parents. We went out there and made a life. Our parents, we didn't live with our parents. Of course, some of us did, but not all of us. It wasn't such a normalized thing for a 20, 30-year-old Gen Xer to be living with their boomer parents. That shit didn't happen. Not across the board. Not as a normal thing. Now, yeah, your odd one did here and there for different reasons. Some valid, some invalid, but yeah, it did happen. But nowadays, that's just normal shit, right? Normal. That's par for the course. Yeah, your 35-year-old son is still at home. Well, yeah, mine too. You know what I'm saying? That kind of shit. So, yeah, we're dealing with that kind of stuff, and I think that it's oftentimes overlooked the amount of pressure to provide at the home front while we're faced with the pressure to change and advance at the work front, right? So we get it on both ends, and we don't bitch and moan about it. We don't cry about it. We're not up there, woe is me. How am I gonna make it? No King Day. We're not out there protesting and trying to, painting rainbows on the sidewalk and shit. We don't express ourselves that way, and don't get all this anxiety and frustration out into the social sphere with all that bullshit. No, we just put our boots on or our nursing shoes or whatever, and we go out again and get it the hell done. That's what Gen X does. We keep providing, we keep learning, we keep reinventing, and we keep the world turning. And that's how I see things. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll leave that link down in the description, and I appreciate those of you who do that. Thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Things and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description too for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Things, please put those down in the comments, or you can email us, and the email is genxthings@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.